I'm Eddie Waymeyer with Edified Services Dryer Vent Cleaning. We're here to talk about the three most common types of transition ducts and their pros and cons. So the three most common types we have here are, number one is the flexible transition duct. Now, transition duct is what connects to your dryer, from the dryer to the wall. It carries your moist hot air from the dryer out to the ducting system. Okay, number one, we got the flexible transition duct. Number two, we've got the semi-rigid transition duct, very firm, very solid. And then the third type is a telescoping transition duct. This is a shorty, but they also make long ones. So we're gonna talk about the three of them. On the first one, and the most preferred, is the flexible transition duct. This one is the most commonly used, and it is the most practical, and it's my favorite. It can be shortened depending on your application if you need to get your dryer completely back as far as possible in your laundry room so that you can have clearance for walkway, or maybe there's a door right there at the laundry room where it's got to clear the dryer. Whatever the case is, these hoses, these transition ducts most of the time is the one to go to. All right, they can be manipulated, they can be twisted, and they can make turns behind your dryer, make them very suitable for the transition duct. They are secured with tension clamps. These are suitable, they work fine. Not my favorite. I prefer to use the hose clamps. I know it's done, I know it's on there, I know it's not coming off. So, some more of the pros for this style flexible transition duct is it can be shortened. Yes, you can cut it and snip it off and make it as short as you need for your application. The other pro is that you have it connected to the wall. You can pull your dryer all the way out, and then you can jump in behind and service it. All right, it's a good one. There are some disadvantages, however. It is flexible, and that leaves these little pleated areas right here. It is somewhat vulnerable to punctures and tears. Okay, I have seen many situations where in our dryer vent cleanings that we are doing the clean out and we inspect the hose and there's tears and cuts. And usually that's happened because things get dropped behind the dryer and the homeowners drop coat hangers or knives or other things, fall back there, and they reach back to grab it and it kind of gets hung up on things and they just kind of snatch it out. Well, that can create a tear and a rip in this quite easily. All right, not a big deal if you got an electric dryer, all you've got is hot moist air going through there, but it's gonna get, you know, a lot of lint in your laundry room. All right, but it's easy fix. Got full tape. In most cases, we just full tape them up and fix them up. Another con is if you push your dryer mat too far too hard, these will collapse and they will kink, and it will impede the airflow almost entirely in many cases, and therefore your dryer will get too hot, it will not breathe, and it will most likely snap or break the heating element in the dryer. All right, that's another sign of the dryer vent being clogged as well. If this is in good shape, well then you know you've got a clogged vent if your heating element's snapping because it just can't breathe. All right, so again, very good option, flexible transition duct. The next thing we have is what we call a semi-rigid transition duct. All right, very heavy duty. It's gonna last a very long time. That is the pros. The other thing is if you have a gas dryer, you have to use this guy. The reason being is in your gas dryers, you got the carbon monoxide passing through the system, not just the hot moist air, and it needs to be in a heavy duty semi-rigid transition duct to carry that carbon monoxide out of your house. You do not want it on the inside. As you know, there are dangers with that. Now, as we pointed out with the first flexible transition duct, the tears and the cuts are easy. It is not so easy in this. That's the pro. Okay, if you drop a coat hanger or a knife back behind there, it's not so likely to cut or tear this. This is heavy duty, and it's going to hold up. However, it does have its cons, and that is, as you can imagine, this is not very easy to work with. It's going to take up a lot of space behind your dryer. If you've got a close tolerance area where you're trying to get your dryer all the way back to the wall to clear either a pathway or an opening door in the laundry room, this is probably not going to be your best bet. However, if you have a gas dryer, you're stuck with it. Now, you can cut this down and trim it, and it will make some bends. It will allow you to manipulate it and do some some crazy turns with it depending on your setup. Not every house is the same. Not every location of the dryer vent duct in the wall or in the floor is the same. They vary. So there is some limited amount of functionality with this type of semi-rigid transition duct. But it can be used. Another negative is it requires you pretty much to be behind the dryer to make these connections, as it's not as flexible and will not recoil as the flexible transition duct will. So that's the pro and cons on the semi-rigid transition duct. It's going to last a long time, but it's going to be hard to work with. It may not give you the clearance you need in your particular laundry room. If you have a gas dryer, you're stuck with it. That's what you've got to use. The third option is what we call a telescoping duct. All right, this is a shorty, but they also make long ones, probably 3 or 4 times as long as this one. But these are what you would use, and the pro of this is what you're going to use it in a situation where you need maximum clearance. You need maximum space in your laundry room where your dryer is going to go all the way back to the wall as far as you can get it. That's where this comes into play. This is the pro on that. It gives you maximum space. It has a little bit of adjustability depending on your situation and what you got, but it will get your dryer all the way back. Now the cons on this, is that, as you can imagine, it's a narrow, short, boxy duct. Therefore, the airflow is not as good through these as it would be through a flexible or semi-rigid transition duct, as the opening in the channel is much bigger. This one is much narrower and is restricted. As a consequence of that, that is going to require a clean out of this area much more often so than it would be with the flexible or semi-rigid transition duct. Lint and things will collect here. It will impede the airflow, and so it will need to be removed and cleaned out periodically. All right, so again, on these three, my preference is always to the flexible transition duct. It's the easiest to work with, it's the easiest to repair, and it will make turns and it will get into tight areas. I do recommend that the hose clamps be used versus the spring tensioners on the flexible transition duct. On the semi-rigid transition duct, you can only use the hose clamps, and you must use some heavy-duty approved foil tape at the connections as well to cut down on dust, but also to keep that carbon monoxide out of your house if you have a gas dryer. And then on this guy, the telescoping hose clamps for sure to tension right here for where the dryer comes in and makes the connection, right? And then here, depending on what connection you got at the wall, you're going to use heavy-duty foil tape for sure. But there's also other applications where you would put this hose clamp in this area here and clamp down and get a secure fitting, depending again on what type of connection you got at the wall. If you've got an in-wall box recess, you're not going to be able to use a telescoping duct. And if you're wondering what an in-wall box recess is, we'll do another video on that, and you'll see it, and you can get informed on that. But this would only be applicable if you've got a duct in your wall, either coming out at the ground level or any other area just above that. You can connect to it with this. All right, so that concludes this video. These are the 3 most common types of transition ducts and their pros and cons. We thank you for watching. I'm Eddie with Edified Services. Dryer vent cleaning, you can reach us at edifiedservices.com or 850-426-2715. Thank you.